So now we're going to talk about some basic calculations that we often want to do in Excel. So here's this data file from Galton, and I'm going to compute some statistics from the heights of the children. And so the first thing I might want to do is I might want to compute the sample mean. I'm going to use the Excel command average. I'm going to type in AV, and we're just going to choose this one, the second one. Okay. Notice it's telling what do you want to compute it with. I'm going to click on this value. I'm going to choose everything in the column. So after I choose that first value in the column, I'm going to hit Control-Shift down, choose everything, hit Enter, and it closes off the parentheses for me. Okay, we often want to compute the median. Remember, when we're testing to see if a distribution is normal, the mean has to be equal to the median. So we start typing MED, and there's only one possibility. Okay, so I click there, and that gives me the median. Standard deviation I have to be a little careful about. Okay, Excel's great. It gives you all these different commands, but you have to be careful that you choose the right one. Okay, so here, this is if the entire population is given in a data set. Okay, but I don't have that. I have a sample from the population. Now sometimes we do have the population. If, for example, we're looking at a small group of people and that's all we're interested in, just that small group of people, or we have data from a census where ostensibly everyone's included, then this applies. But normally we want to compute the standard deviation of a sample from the population. So almost always we're going to choose this, stdev.s. And again, I'm going to choose the first value in that column, Control-Shift down, Enter. There's my standard deviation. Okay, the max and the min are pretty easy. Your commands are just max, Control-Shift down. Min is just min. Control-Shift down. And of course, the reasons why I might want to compute the max or the min is if I want to make a histogram, I have to know, how far the graph has to go out. If I'm testing to see if a data set's normal, I'm going to make sure that the range, which is the max minus the min, is 6 times the standard deviation, right? That was one of our tests. And we'll come back to that later. Okay. I always like to try to format my the data cells, meaning that I like things usually to be centered. I put a little border around things. It's easier for people to see your work. Okay, and then usually a fill. Okay, easy to do. You can do all this also right from this right click menu item too. Okay, now with the quartiles you have to be careful. Notice that when I type quartile, 3 things occur. These are the 2 that we're going to choose from. They're a little different. They're technically a little bit different. It doesn't really matter which one we choose, but whichever one we choose, we have to be consistent. So I'm going to choose the first one. Click there. Control-Shift down. Comma. Then it's going to ask me what quartile I want the 3rd quartile. I'm going to close it off. Now I'm not going to type all that all over again. I'm just going to cut and paste this, hit Enter, and then just paste it and change the 3 to a 1 because I want the 1st quartile here. Okay. And now I can compute the interquartile range, which is the 3rd minus the 1st quartile. Okay. Now, a general thing that I want to mention, there's 2 last things I want to mention. One of the things you have to realize is that whenever you want Excel to do a computation, in other words, whenever you want Excel to give you a numerical value, you always have to start with an equal sign. So, as an example, if I type 2 plus 3, you might say, well, it's 5, right? Not to Excel. It thinks you're just typing characters. It interprets this as a character string. It's not until I hit the equal sign that it knows how to correctly interpret that. Okay. The other thing is that very often we want to format data values. So I just select everything, right click, format cells, number. I hit number again. I only have one decimal place here, so I'm just going to take all these numbers out to one decimal place. And I can center them, and now it looks like a nice table. Okay, those are most of the basic calculations we're going to be doing for a while.